Quite a lot of debate has, followed this extension and the president's speech earlier today. Does the pronouncement by the president extending the circulation of the old 200 NAIRA note constitute, some kind of a contravention of the Supreme Court order, in your opinion?
Well, that's a very serious question. Anyway, well, the order of the Supreme Court, telling or requesting, ordering the federal government to stay action on the implementation of the February 10th deadline, was given by a motion ex parte, which is supposed to, live up to just 7 days because it's a motion ex parte. The lifespan of a motion ex parte is 7 days, subject to review or extension as might be requested by the plaintiff, the claimant, as the case might be. I think what the president did was to say that, well, the 200 NAIRA note is still extant, is still a legal tender until April 10th. Now, but whether that is a violation of the order of the Supreme Court, I will not say whether yes or no. It depends on what is the language, what is the letters of the order. I have not had the privilege of seeing the order. I have not had the privilege of studying that order. But as it stands, February 10th is not. Today is about 6 days away from February 10th, and as at the day the federal government made today that the president made that declaration, based on the language of the CBN. Those currencies are no longer, legal tender. So I cannot really say whether the statement made by the federal government or by the president amounts to a violation of the order of the Supreme Court.
Well, there are lawyers who believe that this is a contravention of the order by the Supreme Court, even going ahead to even call for the arrest of the Attorney General, since the president cannot be charged for contempt since he enjoys immunity. Some are saying that perhaps the Attorney General should be charged for contempt. What do you say to that?
Well, it is the duty of the Attorney General to inform the president about positive orders of the court. But I'm also aware that the Attorney General has also challenged the jurisdiction of the court to entertain that suit in the first place. And when a party is challenging the jurisdiction of the court, I don't think it is not appropriate for you to talk about contempt of an order, of an order of court whose jurisdiction has been challenged. If the court finds that, for example, it has no jurisdiction to have entertained that suit, what happens to the order? It means that the order falls on its face. And if you could remember, amongst the 36 states of the Federation, including and the FCT, only 3 states, as at the time that order was given, Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states, that went to court. There's the issue of locus. The question is whether, as at the time that suit was instituted and that order was given ex parte, if the court has jurisdiction to have entertained that suit and to have given that order. And if the court finds that it does not have the jurisdiction, the issue of contempt against the federal government, like argued or posited by some lawyers, will not hold water, because you cannot build something on nothing. It will crash.
There are those who are also saying that the people filing these suits, for instance, the governors Kogi, Kaduna, and Zamfara do not have the legal standing or justification really to call for implementation of the order, given the fact that they themselves at some point have flouted court orders in some ways. So it's kind of like some are saying, well, it's kind of a case where people are getting to choose what court order to obey and which not to obey and the likes.
Yeah,
what do you
first,
think?
Before I actually attend to that question and that point you made, I think I need to state this, that firstly, every court order, every positive court order must be obeyed until it is set aside by, court of superior jurisdiction, or the court itself sets the order aside. That is one. Then two, it is also sad that in Nigeria, everybody, and for any reason they go to court. If a woman refuses to sleep if a wife refuses to sleep with her husband, the husband will go to court asking for an injunction for the wife to sleep with him. If a father cannot pay the school fees of his son, of his children, the children will go to court and ask the court to order the father to pay, forgetting the fact that it is the fact that the father does not have the money. So everybody just goes to court. Now, the reason why I'm making this point is that some of these issues are matters that shouldn't have been in the court in the first place. They should have exploited other administrative means. And like we have found ourselves, Nigerians don't even know what to follow. Is it the Supreme Court order? Is it the central bank position? And so there is a lot of confusion.
We also have governors giving directives for arrest of people who reject the old.
Yes, following the Supreme Court order. And I was in a particular forum like this, and I asked them that if you are going to meet the petty traders in the market who are rejecting the old NAIRA notes, are you going to go there with the Supreme Court order to say, oh, this is the Supreme Court order, and you are telling the man who sells meat, you are telling the woman who sells tomato that there's a Supreme Court order, the woman in Newi, the woman in Egoho in Edo State, that there's a Supreme Court order in Abuja that says you should collect this money. I don't know how it sounds. This is to show that you cannot litigate everything. But the whole thing I think is that Nigerians should know that policies of government are meant to stay, and that before you go to court, you should explore all avenues. The court should be a final arbiter and should not be a first port of contact.
All right, thank you so much. Victor Giwa, lawyer and national coordinator of the People's Right and Justice. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour tonight.
Thank you for having me.